Ladies and gentlemen, the great Kenny Maistry.
The great.
The legendary Kenny Maistry. Is grade too low for you? It's grade too low for you. I can go higher. The legendary Kenny Maistry.
What's up, Dave?
Are you well?
Yeah, man. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, you're welcome, man.
I was thinking, in planning for this, that you're one of those guys that came up with iconic words that are used on radio. Like, let me give you an example. Mafuta Jams.
Yeah.
You came up with it.
Yeah.
And it stuck around. Every time people talk about it, about your show, Mafuta Jams.
In fact, even now at 702, a lot of the listeners would refer to the days of the Mafuta Jams and Kick-Ass Kenny. And, it just became iconic. I don't know whether people actually understand how that whole thing came about.
I kind of get it, but maybe I'm wrong. So you tell us.
Look, I mean, I use creative license.
Yes.
Because obviously the word mafuta means oil as opposed to fat. But it was kind of referencing fat because back in the 90s when I was at Capital Radio, where I started back in 1992 professionally, but obviously started my radio career in 88.
True.
We'll go back.
We'll go back.
But pretty hot and tempting. Fat jams. That was the phrase back then for hip hop.
Fat Joe.
Yeah, exactly. And so I thought, okay, so what do we do with South African music? Because remember, Kwai Owens, it had that gangster vibe. It's kind of like gangster rap. So it didn't have a good brand image.
No, not at all.
For commercial radio.
Yes.
So being on Metro FM at the time, I thought, okay, in fact, at Capital first, and then at Metro where it exploded. I thought, how do we give it a positive spin?
Yes.
And there was an American DJ back in the 50s called Alan Freed.
Okay.
And he came up with the term rock and roll. Which was basically Elvis Presley, Little Richard, and Chuck Berry, and all those cats. So because that was like considered gangster music at the time, or stuff that was edgy, which is what Kwaito was for us in the 90s.
True, hip hop had the same history.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, how do we put this all
polish
together
it
and make it like have a nice ring to it, man?
Yes.
Because Kwaito for me, it had a name, it was a genre, but I needed to sell it. And being a radio person, we're about selling the song.
Yes, absolutely.
So I thought, okay, being from KwaZulu-Natal, being a part-time Zulu boy myself, I thought, okay.
Do you have a 10%, 20%? Because I have a 40%.
By cultural association. And the fact that my father grew up on the farm.
Okay.
And he spoke fluent Zulu. In fact, my uncles, they all spoke fluent Zulu. I regret not learning Zulu. isiZulu, but
and then the opportunity was there, I guess.
Yeah, I should have maximized it.
Yeah.
But Studla, it was just,
it didn't work.
Yeah,
Studla
didn't
work.
The pronunciation, I wasn't getting it quite right.
Yes,
even now.
It's the DL that's tricky.
Studla,
the GL, the DL, they're always tricky.
No, it's not umhlanga, bro. It's
umhlanga. There you go.
Not umhlauti, umtloti.
Yes, it's not Mapumalanga, it's Mpumalanga. All those words are tricky. Yeah. Yes.
So I thought, okay. I asked my mom actually.
Yes,
and she said, she used to use, Indian people refer to somebody who was what we call healthy, in other words, overweight, as mafuta.
Do you also regard people who are healthy, big, healthy?
Yeah, we won't use the O word.
Well,
we won't say obese, but we'll go healthy.
Healthy, yes.
So I asked my mom, and she said mafuta, and I'm like, okay. That's got a nice ring. And for people who are not Zulu speaking, mafuta.
Wax.
Yeah.
It's not complicated.
But I thought, okay, I don't want to create confusion between mafuta, the oil versus mafuta jams.
Yes.
So I dropped the H.
Yes, then it became easy. It became easier to say, yes. So, and no direct association.
Yeah.
However, I'll tell you though, you overthought it. No, I'm being serious. We got it immediately. You didn't have to do too much.
But for those who are not part of the culture.
Yes, that's true.
Because remember, for where I was at the time, which was Capital Radio, the great last outpost television radio station for expats from the UK.
Yes, listen to that.
So, one had to reason with our lighter shade of brown compatriots and explain to them where are we coming from.
There's your Sasko side is
yes,
coming
comrade.
out.
Yes, that's why.
So Mafuta became a thing.
Yeah, it became a thing. And of course, it was small at Capital Radio because we had a small listenership. And then come to the midday Mother Mix, 12 to 3, back in 97. And it's like Mafuta Jams. It's like, because at that stage, you had a lot of smooth R&B. Smoke was doing the show, Ernest Pillay. So it was very much what we're doing now on Soulful Sundays. And it was laid back R&B. And I was embracing youth culture at the time. I had auditioned for YFM, so I knew exactly where they were going with their format. And I was like, okay, how do I get in here? Because between 12 and 3, it's such a rotation of listenership.
Completely.
So you got Bra Ike, an iconic voice, music, legend.
He was giving you a Manhattan classic.
You know what I'm saying? Which, by the way, I play these days.
I know.
I can't believe it.
I know.
And the OJs. Yeah, but it's that old school swag he brought. And then like on a Friday, he would like wind it up with 10%, My Love Is Free, Just Us, 2 Tons of Fun.
That's it.
But like it was still old school. And so I had to transition from an adult listenership.
Yeah, to a much younger.
2 to 3. After school is after school, ne? So that's when the Mafuta Jams were kicking. But in between, I had like Metro Goes Retro, which was the classics. And I knew, especially with my Durban market,
you know what they want.
The Indian colored mix with the Zulu mix there. I knew that Durban loved old school.
Yeah.
So I was able to transition between a Jozi vibe
and
into
a KZN vibe.
Because those were the primary markets. Yeah. I mean, primary being Gauteng and Jozi in particular. And then KZN
and
Durban,
Cape Town and Bloemfontein getting big.
So once you hoy old school, then Cape Town will follow. Port Elizabeth will do the same, you know. So I kind of gauged. I did my own research in my mind as to how I can transition the whole show. But Mafuta Jams was reserved for 2 to 3. And,
you kept it.
Yeah.
Like, this I'll do later.
Yeah, because, I mean, we didn't want to shock the old people, you know.
It worked. Let me tell you, it worked. We still remember it.
Yeah.
Where were you born?
Pietermaritzburg.
Okay, I thought you were a Devon boy for some reason.
No, I lived in Maritzburg. I schooled there. I was head boy of Woodland Secondary School.
Okay. You've been a leader.
Yeah. So maybe I'll go corporate. I don't know.
Are those special memories?
Pietermaritzburg?
Yeah.
It was, because I think back to Musa's flats.
Okay.
The MH Musa family. They own Woolerton Oil and Cake Mill.
Okay, yes.
They're richer than the Pietermaritzburg Town Council, City Council. Yeah.
Still that rich.
Yeah. And so they had this block of flats where my uncle used to stay.
Okay.
And my granny used to stay there, and then she moved to Durban. So it was the family on my mother's side. That was their flat. But opposite the flat was this, what was then known as a record bar.
Ooh.
Selling vinyl.
Yes, you go there and to go through.
And you are listening to Bakanga,
and all of that. Yes.
And that African rhythm.
Yes,
the bass line.
Jeez.
The sound with Juluka became the force that it is.
Yes.
It's just that bass and the drum.
Jeez.
And that used to my spirit came alive.
Yeah.
And that's why me liking Kwaito.
It was a natural fit,
because it was once again house music, the bass, the drum.
Yes.
So I would always be drawn to this. Now we're talking about during the 70s.
Yeah.
Apartheid.
Yeah, when times were different.
I used to get pulled by the collar because I was just going in jail.
Without
inside.
thinking.
And of course, there's Zulu people there.
Yeah.
Which is apartheid. You're not supposed to go into a black shop being Indian.
Yeah.
And I used to cry.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to be in that environment to soak up the sound and the vibe. Didn't understand a word of what was being sung.
Yeah, but you liked the rhythm and how it made you feel.
And so me with Kwaito, I didn't understand the lyrics, but I felt the music.
Yes, that's it.
It's about feeling it.
Yes.
So, those kind of memories of Pietermaritzburg are great.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And who was around your life at the time? Mom and dad, brothers and sisters?
Look, so we were, our immediate family was small. Got 2 siblings, an older brother and sister, and me.
Okay.
And my dad was pretty much working class. Mom didn't work until much later. She worked at the swimming pool.
Okay.
So I don't come from old money.
Yes.
My great-grandfather and them had money. But then by the time we came around,
they had squandered it.
Yeah, and it's just bad management, I suppose.
They bought a Z4 or Z3.
It runs in the family. Horse and cats.
That's what they did.
No, maybe a Ford Zephyr. I don't know. But, they owned a farm.
Yes,
okay. But unfortunately, it wasn't managed properly, and then they went into poverty, etc. But, my grandfather, Narsu Narayanan Maistry, from Kule in Dalton, which was half an hour outside of Pietermaritzburg, near New Hanover. He donated land for a school.
Whoa.
He donated land for the cemetery there.
Jeez.
What was initially supposed to be the Hindu temple became a church.
Wow.
So they were very much rooted in
the community, yeah. In every way.
Yeah, and the township of Kule now used to be the farm that my grandparents
That's amazing.
owned, or great-grandparents
Yes.
owned. So, I come from that kind of culture and history in the family of giving and being part of a community. So that's why my radio has always been informed
by your upbringing.
Yeah, so I believe in being part of a community. So that's why historically, from varsity, even at Capital, even at Metro, even now today, I promote South African music.
That's it, yeah.
Because I'm locked into this
thing. Yeah. You had an interesting time at Metro. I remember I told the story of the dead air moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know it well.
Yeah.
That it wasn't even your show when you left.
No, it wasn't.
You were sitting in for somebody else.
Yeah.
And you pretty much got fired, yet you were sitting in for someone.
Yeah. Look, I mean, what had happened there, I think when you just look at the episode in isolation, it might seem like I was being a drama queen or unprofessional, as I was criticized in the media at the time. But when there's a build-up
to that moment,
and, we all have the moment where we snap.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Ek is nog gat vol.
Yeah, no, I'm out.
You know what I'm saying?
And yet you find that moment is the smallest of moments, however.
And the stupidest of moments.
Absolutely,
as well.
yes.
So I was at home, Bertha Chiruma was feeling sick. And this is where radio management at Metro FM didn't get it right. They dropped the ball. She phoned in to say, I'm sick.
In the morning.
And they forced her to come on air.
She was doing a 9 to 12 in the morning,
Right? And I mean, why do that to somebody who's not feeling well?
Yes.
So she comes on air. She can't manage.
She's not well.
They then phone me, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm available, because by that time they had moved me from lunchtime, a very successful lunchtime show, by the way, which was very close on breakfast. In fact, I was about to become the biggest
numbers
show on the
were
station.
crazy. I remember well.
And they made a decision to move me to weekends. And so I'm like, okay, I'm there.
I'm not far from the SABC. I can travel.
I get there. And, I mean, it's simple mathematics. When you look at the duration of a song, you can actually add those numbers up to give you 60 minutes in an hour.
We do that all the time.
It's called back timing.
Yes.
So I told the producer at the time, listen, I'm going to run out of music here.
Yeah, I can already see.
Can I just use music from the system?
Yeah.
Because Bertha's show had a lot of interviews, but because she wasn't there,
it wasn't well prepped for you.
Yeah, and they canceled the interviews. Okay, you cancel the interviews, but you don't give me more music.
Ooh.
Then you tell me I can't use music from the system.
Yeah, because the system was locked. We were not able to access to fill in the gaps. Yeah.
Which for me was crazy, because you'd rather have dead air, or I do a 3-minute link.
Which
instead of treat me like an adult and a professional that I am, and allow me the latitude to fill in those blanks.
Yes,
so I had 45 minutes
music.
of blank.
Wow.
And not 45 minutes, but 45 minutes before I could go.
Yes, you could already see. Yeah.
I had about 15 minutes of blank. And I was told, no, I can't. And now, so at that point, it was a culmination of firstly being moved unfairly. I believe,
that was also a factor.
From lunchtime to weekends.
To weekend, yeah.
I mean, effectively, they cut my income by 80%, and I just got married back in 1999.
How long were you off air for? The so-called punishment.
Okay, there was a 15-minute shortage of music.
You can already tell,
right?
And then you're building up to that time.
So now I'm off air for like a minute.
Yeah.
And then the program manager tells the producer, take a song from the system and play it.
How? But that's the request you made.
But I'm just saying, I could have done it more. So I'm a DJ.
I told you, and I asked for this. So you asked for it an hour earlier, and when the time came, they told somebody else to do it.
So for me, it was like, you know what, you guys wanted me out. I was just too thick-skinned to see it.
Yes.
I should have just left.
Wow.
Because I stuck it out for 2 years.
Jeez.
Just got married.
Yes.
Just starting my life. And, at that stage, I mean, I was supporting my parents. My dad wasn't working.
Back in Devon.
I was, was supporting the ex-mother-in-law as well at the time. So it just didn't have an impact on me as a person. It had an impact on
everything.
The wife at the time, the in-laws, my parents, etc. Because, I was making enough money to support others.
Yes.
So, black tax, man.
It's actually interesting how we never, in these conversations I've had with different guys here, the money part is something that I've never touched on.
Yeah.
The impact of losing that gig.
Yeah.
And the importance of getting that gig. Because we sometimes tend to, that's always a general assumption, and probably I'm wrong to always assume that they're paid well, they'll be fine. However, I know that the job ends and there's nothing anymore.
But also, I mean, at the time, I think I was pretty much new money.
Yes,
so my dad said to me, buy property. He said to me, buy a block of flats.
Yeah.
And maybe you can live in the penthouse suite and rent the rest out.
That's it.
And then you're generating soft income,
it's easy
retirement
going.
money,
Yeah.
etc. And I went and bought the Z3.
And I remember the red Z3.
Yeah, man. I called a Foxy Roxy.
I remember the red Z3.
So it was, it made an impression. I was the first person in the entertainment industry to get it. Back then, as a black person, you never bought a two-seater.
No, because you have people to carry.
You know what I'm saying? You had your posse with you, you had your family, your peeps. But I was that guy because, you needed a kick-ass kind of car for a kick-ass kind of guy.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, hell.
So, but,
wow.
R250,000 later, I had to get rid of the car because I couldn't sustain the
afford it.
lifestyle. Whereas if I had invested in the property, like my dad had said, it would have been a different story. I could have been.
So in hindsight, that was a cock decision.
Absolutely, one of the worst decisions I made. But then again, I've always had a passion for cars.
Yeah, that's me. That's a problem of mine.
It's a DJ's kryptonite, I think.
It is, actually. You should ask DJ Fresh about his cars.
For some guys, it's women and stuff like that. For me, it's actually been cars, not women.
Yeah. Jeez, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you find that the time at Capital made you the presenter that you became?
Absolutely. But before I just get into that, I just want to sum this point up by saying my radio is about feeling. So you feel my radio. You don't just listen.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. And that's why with the music as well, it's about the emotion, the emotional connection. So that's what drives that home.
Yes. Interesting. I asked Thibaut's a question that you answered. What type of radio do you do? And he said, it has to be fun. Otherwise, I can't pull it off.
Yeah.
I have to feel like I'm laughing with friends. And the minute I lose that, I will have a horrible show.
Yeah.
And he makes reference to the fact that you can always tell when I'm not enjoying this. I'm not connecting today. And I know that feeling. Do you find sometimes you don't quite connect with the day, with the mood, with the show?
I think if you listen to me when I was on 947, they killed my soul. They really did, because they were listening to this Australian consultant.
Yes.
Firstly, if you don't understand South Africa, and if you don't understand soul, and you don't have to be black to understand soul.
That's it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Mick Hucknall, hello. You know what I'm saying?
There's many.
There's many people who, Phil Collins as well.
Yes, there's lots of them.
There are people who understand soul who happen to be white.
Michael McDonald.
Yeah, so it's not about a black or white thing. It's about a soul thing.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand Africa and the home of soul,
true,
the roots,
you will struggle
incubator,
with it. Yeah.
And then you come in with this thing where you're consulting in the UK or US, and there's like 20 or 50 Highvelds in one market.
One tiny market
versus
in New York
versus one in one city.
That's it.
So that you don't have that kind of direct competition.
Yeah.
Maybe Jacaranda to an extent, or Kaya to an extent, but so it was cut and paste what they were doing overseas.
Jeez.
And we were turned into time and temperature jocks.
Wow. So you ta-ta-ta-ta-ta.
So to answer your earlier question, yes, Capital Radio was the foundational radio station.
Yeah.
So I kind of like break it into three. So Capital was the creative incubator.
Yeah.
Metro FM was the household name.
Yes,
the fame, the celebrity,
all of that.
So it was that aspect, the showmanship, actually.
Yes, true. Yeah, it's pretty much bring what you rehearsed to this big audience.
And then with 947, it was the business end.
Yes.
And that was a space I hadn't played in too much because Capital didn't make much money. Right.
Yeah.
And Metro,
it made a lot of money. However, you were led to be the star.
And we were disjointed from the sales.
The money. Yes.
So there wasn't that connection with clients.
Yeah, true.
So to understand the corporate side. So I learned a lot shadowing Jeremy Mansfield.
Okay.
And just how he handled clients.
Yes.
So that's what I learned from 947. But in terms of creativity, they killed it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Kenny Maistry. Kick-ass Kenny.
Yeah, baby.
Check him out on 702. With Maistry years. I am selling another radio station from another house. However, check you out on 702 in the Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah, from 10 a.m. Saturdays and Sundays on 92.7 and 106 FM and GP. Nationwide on DSTV channel 856.
You're forcing the nationwide, but it's fine. We'll take it. I'm really nationwide. Trust me on that. You can force it all you want. It's like DSTV. 3 listeners.
Yeah, but that's why you guys are shaking in your pants, because of Soulful Sunday.
But I love what we do Monday to Friday with soul. And I like how it filters into our weekend.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
No, we can't.
And that's the advantage we'll always have.
No, look, I mean, you got a head start.
That's it, yes.
But,
we run 5 more steps before you even arrive.
Too much of a good thing can become mediocre.
Take care, man. Thank you so much. Eh? It's Kenny Maistry, everybody.